The sex was good. You went home with him, you had a great night together, he asked for your number, but he never called you. He never messaged you. Why would he make this effort and ask for your number, but then never message you? If you've ever asked yourself this question, then I am glad you're watching, because by the end of this video, you're gonna know exactly why this happens and how you can turn this situation into your advantage. Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Kit, your personal dating coach, and I'm very excited to share today's video with you because I'm gonna dive in deep in detail the secrets behind this crazy phenomenon. Get your tea, get your biscuits, because we have got plenty of eye-opening stuff to get through. Also, don't forget to subscribe. I do have to say that. Now let's get into the video. Why didn't he text me? There's a very common recurring situation that happens with a lot of women when they have a one-night stand with a guy. You meet him at a bar or a party, or let's be honest, through an app. You have a great chat, you're attracted to him, he's attracted to you, the chemistry and sparks are flying, and he invites you back to his place. Now, usually you wouldn't do this, or maybe you would, but you thought, why not? You only live once anyway. So you go back to his and you have an amazing night together. You guys were really intimate, the sex was great, you had fun, he really enjoyed it. And at this point, you don't really know what he's looking for, but you don't make any assumptions. So the morning comes, and instead of just trying to rush you out, he actually makes an effort with you. Maybe he made you breakfast, he had some tea waiting, maybe he buttered your toast. That's a big thing. He treats you like a real house guest, as opposed to just trying to avoid conversation with you and let you do the walk of shame down the corridor where you bump into his housemate who definitely heard you last night. He doesn't treat you like some random girl he just met. He makes you feel that even though you've only spent a short time together, he actually appreciates that and maybe wants to do it again. So you're on your way out, and after having such a great morning with him, he asks for your number. And it's like you've struck gold. Met a guy, has spent a great night with him, is already treating you better than half your exes have, and maybe he wants to see you again? I mean, after all that, surely he's interested in you. So of course you give him your number, and he says that he's gonna drop you a message. But the thing is, that message never comes. Why doesn't he text you? Why would a guy make so much effort with you, ask for your number, but then not follow through? Well, this is exactly what just happened, and I'm gonna explain the man's logic behind everything. First, it's really important that we understand a few things about men. It's important that we acknowledge that in the dating world, guys are very easily vilified. It's way easier for a guy to be vilified, way more so than it is for his female counterpart. Now, that's not me saying that there aren't bad guys or selfish guys out there who will just do whatever they want without caring for anyone's feelings. But most of the time you hear a bad dating story, 9 times out of 10, it's usually the guy who was the villain in that story. Sometimes unjustified, but still widely accepted. And guys know this. And this makes a lot of very good guys very cautious, because they know it's so easy for them to be painted as the bad guy, as the dickhead, as the asshole. Because the reality is, when it comes to dating, often at times, guys are held responsible for the emotions and sometimes even the decisions of women. Let me share with you this story as an example of what I mean. I was having fun with this girl, and we both knew it was just fun. We had that conversation. It was a friends with benefits. And it got to a point where she had grown feelings for me. Now, at this stage of my life and the headspace I was in and what had just happened, I wasn't in a position where I could give that to her. I just come out of something very serious to the point that, I thought I was gonna marry this other girl, and I just wasn't in a place where I could give that to anyone. So naturally, my feelings hadn't grown in the same way. So I said, hey, look, thank you so much for telling me. I know it's really hard to do that, but I don't feel the same way. So I think maybe we should just stop the whole friends with benefits thing and just stay friends. To which at first she completely understood. But then she turned around and was like, well, why don't we just continue the way we are? Like, let's pretend this conversation never happened and we can just continue having fun, It's just a crush, I'll get over it. Now, being a bit younger at the time and a little bit less experienced, I thought, well, if I was having fun and she was having fun and she's happy to carry on the way it was, then sure, why not? When in reality, in her head, it was, okay, well, if I can't have him the way I want him, at least having him partially the way I want him is better than nothing. So a couple of months go past, and instead of her getting over me, her feelings had grown more.
No shit, Sherlock.
But still, mine hadn't changed. We have the same conversation again, except this time she's really hurt. She's really upset. My feelings hadn't changed, and that's no one's fault. And her feelings obviously grew more, even though she thought she was gonna get over them. That's no one's fault either. But in this story, to everybody else, I'm painted as the bad guy. Because one, my feelings haven't changed and she's the one who's upset, so she looks like the victim. And two, people hear that story and go,
well, hey, look, if you knew she had feelings for you, then you should have just called it off the first time you had this conversation, instead of letting it carry on. You should have told her no matter what she said.
So because of those two reasons, I'm painted as the big bad wolf in the story. I should have made the judgment call for both of us, so it's my fault that she's upset. Now here's the funny thing. This girl, or rather this young woman, was actually older than me, more experienced and more mature than me as well. And it takes two to tango. If we both continue to have fun together, it's because we both decided to do that. Yet in this situation, I was being held responsible for the decisions that she had made. Therefore, I was responsible for why she's upset. But if the situation were reversed and I was having fun with someone and I had feelings for them and they didn't feel the same way about me, then I would call it off straight away, because I know that if I carry on just doing that, I'm probably gonna get hurt. Now, I'm not saying that if I was in that situation again, would I do things differently? Of course I would. But we are each responsible for our own decisions and each responsible for our own emotions. And it's this kind of scenario that happens enough times to make very good guys extremely cautious.
Okay, so how does him potentially being held accountable tie into him being amazing and misleading on a one-night stand?
Well, that's precisely it. He wants to do everything he can so that he is not vilified. He wants to come across as a good, nice guy, whether he is interested in you or not.
Well, I would rather that he just told me straight that it was a one-night stand. That way I can just manage my expectations.
Okay, let me put it this way. If he knows in his mind that it was just a one-night stand and he doesn't want any more than that, he's not gonna say that. He doesn't know you. He doesn't know how you'll react, and he doesn't know who you're gonna tell this story to. He's not gonna tell you straight, you know, oh yeah, it was nice to meet you, but this was just a hookup, so have a nice life. He's not gonna say that, because if and when you tell this story, he's gonna look like the bad guy. He's gonna look like an asshole. So to avoid that, he is gonna treat you like a really great house guest. He's gonna make such an effort with you so that in the moment, you may even think that there's more to it. But not to try and lead you on or to mislead you in any way, but he just wants to avoid being the villain in your story. He would rather be the really nice guy who treated you amazingly, who never called you, than the douchebag who said to your face that he just used you for sex. Now, let's not beat around the bush. Sometimes we meet people where you are just interested in them physically. People have one-night stands all the time. But you don't say that because it makes the other person feel less valuable. So it's much better for him to treat you amazing in the morning and even ask for your number so that you feel good around him. Because that's what we remember about people. Not necessarily what was said, but how they made us feel. Now at this point, some of you may be asking, okay, if I have a one-night stand with a guy and we have an amazing night together and he treats me with all this affection and everything like that, then how do I know if it's genuine or not? How do I know whether it's just a one-night stand or he actually does want more if he's gonna treat me nice either way? So what I really want you to take from this video is, if you ever find yourself in this situation again, there are two things you should do to put you on the right track. Number one, if he treats you amazingly well, never assume it's because he's interested in more. Assume that he's doing it because he's just a nice guy who wants you to feel comfortable while you're there. And two, if he asks for your number, politely tell him no, but that you will take his. Put the power in your hands. Because not only will he not expect that, but whether he's interested in you or not, it'll definitely make him think about you. And then it's up to you whether you want things to go further or not. If you're looking for the guy who sparks up your love life, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss a thing. And as always, keep it slick.
How?